Hello everyone, welcome to Soundfragment number 2, and it's the end of November, and this week has been a funny week. The sea today is incredibly peaceful and quiet. I've had to close the blind because the sun is blinding across the ocean. But it's been very stormy and very crazy in the last week, and today everything's settled down. So, welcome to number 2. I'm making these sound fragments because I'm stopping touring for a little while and I'm working in solitude here in my little cottage by the sea in West Cork in Ireland. And all of my recordings really come out of this place these days. And I work very much on my own in a very much a closed-in, isolated place. And this time around I thought it might be fun to include everyone who might be interested or vaguely bored and wants to hear about what's going on and kind of see the process of the recordings that I make and where the songs come from and how they evolve and how the sounds are growing out of the ether. So I'm making these little sound fragments and putting them out. As you can see, my little studio is all set up here, and I look out the window when I'm bored and look at the ocean, and it gives me a bit of inspiration. This is a slightly different room to the one that I recorded most of the Dissolving record in. That was recorded through there in the back room, hidden away in the other corner of the house. But that's now become kind of a craft workshop where all kinds of things happen. So I'm now in this lovely room where the violins can hang on the walls and things can happen organically. So last time Sound Fragment didn't have any talking, it just had some crazy dancing and beats. So I thought I'd play you a little bit. This week I finished work on the Bill Coleman remix that I was working on, this drum and bass remix, and it's all finished and it's up on the web on Facebook and all those sorts of places for you to download and listen to. And there's a lovely bit at the end I thought I'd play you. Where the strings are all major chordy, descending scales, the drum and bass beats slowly filter out, and we get this lovely half-time beat kicking in and a glockenspiel, and it all sounds very blissful at the end. Here they go, they start to filter. Filter. And then they gradually go away and we've got this. So that's sort of a little sound fragment of the Bill Coleman remix, which you can hear. This week I finished the remix and I started working on some new recordings for the first EP that's coming out in March. And I sat down here and it was a funny week because the moon was very strong. It was a full moon and it was pulling everyone in all kinds of directions and pulling the sea in all kinds of directions. And we were all getting a little bit frazzled in our heads and our hearts. And I think most of my equipment got frazzled too, because I sat down with the very happy idea of working away on some new recordings, only to find that none of this stuff worked and nothing was turning on and blah and I ended up spending hours and hours going like this, pulling out my hair and trying to plug things in differently and going on forums, and it was all wrong. In the end it turned out to be a dodgy firewire cable, which is always the way. You spend hours trying to be clever and it always comes down to cables. And then the next day, funnily enough, the electric moped crashed out and wouldn't charge, and I went to bed thinking, oh god, I'm not going to be able to get around anywhere to buy anything. The next morning I thought, the firewire cable. So I plugged in the toaster into the plug the electric moped was plugged into, and it didn't work either. So I used different cables and rerouted things, and finally worked out that there was a fuse gone. Fixed the fuse, and now the moped is running smoothly. So it was a sort of a week of funny wiring problems, but I still managed to get some work done on this tune, which I wrote a little bit of in Italy this year. Kind of came out of being in a place called Santa Margherita, but there was a line in the chorus that I wrote saying the moon pulled us here. So I thought this week was the week to work on it because the moon was pulling us in all weird directions. So you can hear a bit of it. Most of it comes out of this little piano line and mucking around like this. And again. And there's this funny thing here, which is a beat that I made up, all with vocal sounds, sampling them, and then I sent it through what's called a max MSP buffer shuffler, which sends everything backwards and forwards and redistributes all the fragments. So it made kind of a nice sound. Now what we'll do is play you the whole thing. And you can hear the bass line and a little bit of the vocal, and let me know what you think. And I will give you sweet scent of June, the fields of flowers, and the church of our blessings. And I would give you sweet scent of juniper, the fields of night flowers, and Santa Margherita. When the moon pulls us here. So there's a little bit of that song. Funnily enough, the buffer shuffler is going to come up again soon enough because I've been sending strings like this through the buffer shuffler, and it's been fragmenting them all and making them all into weird sounds. So maybe next week you'll hear a little bit of that. The final thing I want to tell you is myself and Kiva Collins, who is the fellow string player from the Headland Collective, have come up with an idea to play Bach in all kinds of places around this part of the world and put them up on YouTube. So the first one is happening tomorrow, and there will be a link on the Facebook. We're bringing sexy Bach, so watch out for that. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think of all of these funny little ramblings. I'll see you next time.